Hello and welcome to Carter and Moore, Off Script and Onside, a podcast in which we explore the stories, the passion and the progress that's driving women in sport.
Hello, I'm Brian Moore. I used to play rugby for England and the British Lions. I'm now co-commentating on what we're going to be discussing today, which is the Women's Rugby World Cup, which is now in its knockout stages.
And I'm Jim Carter. I'm an actor and a sports fan, and I am delighted to introduce today's guest, a Welsh rugby international, a Labour MP for Gower. Please welcome Tonia Antoniazzi.
Hello, how are you?
Very well indeed, and delighted to see you here.
It's great to be here with you two, I can tell you.
We'll see, Tonia.
Now, you're sat in the middle. You're not usually sat there in your position, are you? You're out of position.
I am out of position. Do you want to change?
Oh, no, it'd be better if you're there, because rows between two decided thorns. But you were a prop, so you'd be... Yeah. Which side would you have been?
Tight head.
So you'd have been here.
Yeah, I'd be sitting where you are, and you would be sitting here.
Exactly, with my arms around you.
Yeah. Lucky man.
And as an ex-number 8, I'd be nowhere in the picture. Tonia, we just briefly alluded to the fact you're a rugby international. You played for Wales in the 1998 Rugby World Cup. I
did, yes, many moons ago. That's why this Rugby World Cup being in England is absolutely just fantastic. It's great to see the girls, the women playing sport and from all around the world, just to see the rugby being played and the fun that's being had, and the crowds is just electric. And it was good fun back in 1998, but it has changed a lot.
So did you get into rugby as a kid? I mean, well, in Wales, was it in your DNA?
Yeah, I grew up overlooking Stradey Park. Dad played rugby. He was a captain at Kidwelly. My older brother played rugby for Wales under 18s, under 21s, played a couple of times for the Scarlets. And, growing up overlooking Stradey Park, you could smell it. It was exciting, the noise, everything. But there wasn't the opportunity. I didn't have the opportunity until I went to university. There wasn't a university team in Exeter at the time in 91, so played for the town team, and that's where I got my boots on.
You got your boots on, and within minutes it seems that you were playing for Wales. It's quite a rise there.
It was. Yeah. Thanks for playing over in Italy, because I got to play over for Benetton Treviso's women team, the Red Panthers, and that really did set me up for really playing at a high level and having that just an interaction.
Well, that's interesting to me, because Italy latterly came into the Six Nations relatively in terms of the men's tournament. Right back then, there was still that. It surprises me a little bit that the setup was enlightened enough or advanced enough to have women's teams at the same time, because that wasn't the case for a lot of men's teams over in Great Britain and Ireland.
Yeah, it's true. I was very surprised to find that setup over there. It wasn't anything I knew about, but because they had the sponsorship of Benetton, and also they had the kind of, in the men's team at the time, they had Michael Liner there, and they had other international players there. I think Wayne Smith was a coach in at the time. So you had some big names and lots of investment, lots of interest there. And they were very supportive of the women's team, who had actually that year won the 10th championship in a row and had a great, established reputation. And that was 93, so it was really great.
So when you say you were sponsored by Benetton, does that mean you were all sort of pink cashmere sweaters? I mean, you must have had some fantastic kit.
I had some fantastic kit, yeah. I mean, I looked like a pacer coming back, but it's a great kit, and they really knew how to look after us. We did the boots and the kit, and everybody was very impressed when I came back and played at uni.
That seemed really advanced for the time. I think.
It was.
So this World Cup, Brian, you said we're in the middle of it.
I've been commentating for the BBC. I tell you what I think is particularly good about this World Cup. All the games, there have been mismatches. There are mismatches in lots of sports, by the way. It's not just rugby. And given the differential funding and the strides that are being made, that's understandable. The tournament organisers obviously want to get rid of that, and it will get better in later tournaments. But I think we can genuinely say that the rugby action has been worth watching of itself. Not just for people who want to show that they are fans of or allies of. Genuine people who are genuinely like sport have been coming along to the games, have been watching on TV and saying, actually, this is worth watching in itself. And I know it was a strange thing, just completely anecdotal. I had a grocery delivery for one of the grocery companies, and the driver, middle-aged driver, said he recognised who I was. He said, "How do you think England are going to get on?" And then he said, "I'm not really a rugby fan. I watch football." He said, "But," and then he said that Ellie Kildun and Jess Breach. So he named two of England's star players. So it does prove that people who are not traditional fans are watching to the extent that they are absorbing the information about individual players, which you would never thought. And I'm sure the tournament organisers, although this is an anecdote, will be very pleased with that. Absolutely. Because it shows that it is reaching what they wanted to reach.
Tonia, I mean, Wales aren't doing so well, haven't done so well in this. Are you enjoying the Rugby World Cup?
Oh, look, I love rugby, I love sport, I just want to, I know how difficult it is, and I'm just so proud to see the girls run out there and see the support that they've had, and the Welsh team, they have come on, and they just, as individuals, I bloody love them all. I absolutely love them. They're just great, and they really put their heart and soul into it. Disappointing results. They haven't got through the group stages, but they're well loved, and everybody appreciates the journey that they've been on.
And aren't you responsible for the development of one of the players?
Did
I hear?
Bless her. Yeah, I just, Alex Callender is an ex-pupil. I used to be a teacher at Bringwyn School, and I'll just never forget her coming in year 7 into the French class and saying, "My mum said you played rugby for Wales," and I was like, "Yeah, I did." I kind of thought, okay, and she was just fabulous, and to see her now co-captain Wales, to see and to watch her journey, I'm very proud of her. I didn't have anything to do with her talent or coaching. That's all down to her. But she is a great woman.
You inspired her, and that's the main thing. I mean, we've just finished the group stages of the World Cup. Highlights for me, thinking, I mean, the odd little corners of it. One was, this might not have been totally seen on screen, was Brian Moore having the courage to take on Amy Cockayne.
Well, look, no, I mean, I think what it's shown is the seeding system, is genuine. The top teams are coming out, and it was always going to be like that. I think from an England point of view, they did get tested against Australia. My one worry with England is that if they don't get more of a test for longer, you get into a final, and then you get put back for 20 minutes, something happens, you get a yellow card, something goes wrong, the bounce of the ball, and that can be difficult to recover from. And when you've got a team like New Zealand or potentially Canada on the other side who can put points on the board, you can soon find yourself out of the game. And if it's a final, there's no, obviously there are no second chances. So you've got that. The rest of it is shaping up well. I think the semi-finals are looking to go to plan, and there are significantly good performances for long enough periods of time to suggest that those will be very good battles indeed.
I would agree with that, but I'd also, excuse me, say that, I mean, one of my highlights, you talked earlier about mismatches, was when Samoa kicked a penalty and got 3 points, and the camera went to the crowd. The Samoans were, excuse me, frog in my throat. The Samoans were celebrating like it was a huge victory.
Well, when you're talking about the reality is that they're picking from 200 players
who've crowdfunded to get
to get here. Yeah. Now, that has to change. The investment has to go in. And we'll probably get on to the fact that we should get on to the fact, the actual facts about women's sport and what it does or doesn't earn from sponsors and broadcasters, because that's the important point. But it's just the important point of getting them there so it can develop. Because come back to this point, you've got to be able to see it to want to be it. And I know it's a terrible cliche, but it is true.
Yeah, I've just absolutely loved all of it, but for me, just seeing my team run out and just to see the fans there, and see all the action on the pitch, it's been absolutely brilliant. And I think we've got to capitalise on this now. Also to see what you're talking about, the sponsorship. We didn't have all of our kit back in 1998. To know the girls are having to crowdfund to get to a World Cup is absolutely, it's just not right. But the sponsorship now that we're seeing coming coming into the game, everybody wanting to watch it. Brian, I just think we are moving on, and there is a great future for women's rugby.
Yeah, we are moving on. Women's rugby, women's sport. The problem that you've got is that a lot of sponsors, they always say this, we want to be invested, we understand the power of this, we understand that. When it comes to actually writing checks,
Okay.
they don't do it.
Okay, yeah.
The Deloitte's information that women's global sport is worth 2.8 billion is a bit misleading, because that includes North America and particularly USA basketball, which is a huge, and in this country, the Lionesses, rightly because they're very successful as a brand, take a lot of what people think is available to sport in general. So the grassroots sport and non-football sports are still very poorly funded. And, if sponsors want to have a product, this is the time when they need to put the money in to get the returns later.
And this is the opportunity. Sorry.
There couldn't be a better showcase than what we're seeing at the moment, with grounds full. I mean, more people watching England in the opening game than watched the final, the World Cup final 3 years ago. 30,000 people at each game in Brighton at the weekend. That's selling. And when you pan to the crowd, seeing that demographic, which is completely much more mixed than the men's rugby, families, but and men of my age love women's rugby because it seems to be fast, it seems to be dynamic. It might be not as fast as men's rugby.
There are fewer stoppages.
So there's more flow to it, and hence more excitement, I think, and that sells itself.
Well, I've noticed this even in the commentary box, and to notice it from a commentary box, it has to be quite major because you're concentrating, obviously, what's on the field. There is a joy in the crowd. There's a sense of celebration of people going there, knowing they're going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Engaged in the sport on there, but actually knowing in the ground. The grounds, this is another thing, the grounds don't get full at the last second like they do with a lot of men's sports where they'll just all crowd in. They're starting to get full, an hour before, because they know they can sit there, have a good time, talk to people around them. They're interacting with the entertainment that's in the grounds as well. And it's a whole family atmosphere.
Do you see that?
Yeah, and it's just the dynamic. It's completely different from going to a men's rugby game, and it's just the joy to see the young children, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, your uncles, everybody coming together and just having a ball and having a great time and enjoying the rugby and celebrating it.
So how does that contrast with, you played in a Rugby World Cup 1998, which was in Amsterdam, I think, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
I mean, the Dutch and rugby. I don't get that.
Can you remember it?
Yeah, I can. Yes, Brian.
Surprisingly, you obviously weren't going out in Amsterdam enough then.
Now, was a particular highlight of that taking on Kazakhstan? My research tells me.
Oh, I mean, that was absolutely hilarious. Yeah, because Kazakhstan, and they were good because they were fit and they were really, really just dead hard, That's because they were all
military.
They were all military.
Yeah.
They were a military side that had come along. In fact, it was quite scary, really.
Did you win?
Do you know? I can't. I'm actually not sure, and I think we did, but it was very, very close. It might have been like a 5-0 or a 10-0. It was.
Tonia Antoniazzi did beat the Kazakhstan army practically on her own.
I wish.
So, we've said, this World Cup, I mean, the outreach live is fantastic. So, as a parent watching it, encouraging your daughter into rugby, would you be afraid of some of these collisions, or how does a kid get into rugby now? Is it as physical as it looks at the professional level?
I mean, we were talking about this earlier, weren't we, Brian? And it's about involving young girls as soon as they can. When they're playing touch rugby, and getting them out on the pitch. It's about ball skills. It's about enjoying being in a team.
What is touch rugby, Tonia?
Well, it's non-contact.
Right. Yeah.
Well, the way it goes, because there aren't the numbers. If there were the numbers, you might have a case for separating girls from boys, but there aren't the numbers. So on the Sunday mornings, up until the age of 11, it's mixed, non-contact, so it's tag rugby, which is just like touch rugby, and you have little tags you pull off. They start to introduce contact and tackling at the age of 8, because it's better for for children to learn skills when they're not dynamic, they're not big, and the physical differences are not large. And this is one of the things you just have to say because I've got 4 girls, I'd never put any pressure on any of my girls to play rugby, because of what I did. They all said they wanted to play. They all enjoyed it. But what you see down there is nothing like. It's just like when you play tag in the playground. That's what it's like, but with a ball, and the impacts are very, very slight. The problem rugby has got is persuading people to go down and try it, because when they see it, they think, oh, that's not at all what I thought it might be like. Yeah. Big people are not smashing into other big people. This is a very elite level at which strength and power are major factors. The rest of rugby, and the other aspect as well is, for me, is where do you go with a daughter or even a son who is not particularly dexterous? He's not a great batter. He's not particularly coordinated, but just happens to be very brave and very strong. He's not particularly quick, and rugby has a place for that. I'm not
brave and strong.
I just think, we are in sport now, in rugby, where you've brought up a kind of like an old, don't take this the wrong way, kind of like maybe old-fashioned kind of like perspective that, I don't want my daughter to get hurt, or that kind of, which is what I had. But I was, quite a chunky piece when I was playing rugby. My brother said, go find a sport, where you could throw your weight around. And I did. I found my place. But I love participating, playing netball, playing tennis, very competitive, not as competitive as Brian, mind, but we're in a place, there is a place in rugby for everybody, whatever shape or size you are, from whatever age, and it's important that we continue to play rugby. I still put my boots on now. Commons and Lords rugby team. We put a women's side together to kind of run out on Twickenham with the greats like, Jill Burns. And it's brilliant that we can still be in our 50s and early 60s playing the sport that we love. And, there is a lot of talk around, the issues around concussion and things like that. But there are things coming on board now. You've got your gum shields, you've got kind of like training. Knowing how to fall is very important. That's what you learn when you're small.
When you're making decisions as a parent as to what to do, you don't just say, if you're sensible, you don't just say, what are the risks? Because they're this, that, the other. And by the way, if you actually contextualise rugby's risks against sports like eventing, where you're falling from horses. I'm not trying to decry other sports.
No.
But there are other sports that do have risks. As a parent, what you should do, if you're honest, is say, look, these are the risks, but what are the benefits?
Yeah.
Now, if the benefits don't outweigh the risks, obviously you don't do it. But there are huge benefits of social inclusion, of body image, of leadership, of team sports, following people, and for me, rugby's always been a game. Certainly at junior level, of friendships, 30, 40, 50-year friendships from the same clubs, people whose weddings, whose holidays, it has that atmosphere, and local clubs do offer that.
And are you still friends with your rugby playing from your rugby play, the early rugby?
Yeah, absolutely. I still am, and it's fantastic. I've got the likes of Bess Evans, who I played my very first rugby game against when she played for Cardiff, and I was at Exeter. Still, friendly with the girls I played with at Waterloo, like Jill, and and also many of these are still involved in sport, and therefore it's with my job as a parliamentarian and with my keenness to promote women in sport, I still move in those circles, and thanks to social media as well.
What do you reckon it taught you?
So much, honestly. Resilience is one of them. Being able to pick yourself up from the bottom of a scrum that's collapsed, being able to kind of like put your shoulders back and keep going, is something I apply to everyday life. I'm in the tough and the thick of it in my job.
I imagine, I imagine in Parliament you have to pick yourself up again.
Resilience is essential. And resilience, particularly now, I think, for all of us, sort of for kids post-COVID and everything, a lot of kids got sort of pushed back a little bit, and resilience and being able to cope with everything that life throws at you is a major lesson.
It really is, and being part of a team, having the support of your friends there, and having to learn to do things that you may not like doing, but actually, as a team, you have to do that to get to be a winner and to be to feel that joy. It's an absolute joy. I think it's an adrenaline thing. It's a participation thing, and that's what I've learned. It's a big kind of like boost to your your mental health and resilience.
And do you think sport, I mean, it doesn't have to be rugby, any kind of sport
Yeah.
should be part of everybody's life?
Oh,
I mean,
100%. I think you've got to be as active as you can for as long as you can, because that helps with, your bone density. I sound like a doctor now. I am not. But it is really important.
I would like to point out at this stage that we're recording this on the day there's a tube strike, and I cycled here.
Oh, well,
And
I
it
walked
was-
here.
Brian walked here, and Tonia came in by helicopter, which landed on the roof from the Houses of Parliament. Two of those
That's not
factors are
true.
true. Yes. No.
With D Ream playing Things Can Only Get Better in the background. I was there in 97, then they came in.
Yeah. So, I mean, Brian, you jumped over the fact I said that you had a battle with Amy Cockayne earlier this year. This was in the commentary when I think this was England Samoa at Franklin's Garden, I think, and Amy Cockayne, the England hooker, decided that she was going to smash a heavy drum right behind you when you
Yes,
were on
she did, and it actually shocked me because I first of all, I mean, look, this is a generation thing. I don't mind. I don't mind it.
Come on,
At football, I can't be the only one who hates the band who just play The Great Escape all game, and the drummer who you want to just say, can you stop this? Because actually, I didn't pay either to watch in the ground over here to listen to you. I'm quite happy to watch the game without your involvement. I'll pay you. Fuck off.
Keep going, Brian.
Yeah.
Now, come on.
So no.
Don't sit on
No,
the
but
fence.
she did bad me stuff. And the thing is, the reserve players were sat just the opposite, and they're not usually near the commentary position. And it actually quite shocked me. And I thought, who is doing this? And I thought it's going to be done. I looked across there. Oh God, no! It's an England player. What am I going to say now?
And the fellow hooker.
The fellow hooker. Can I say politely? Do you mind? Because I'm actually trying to. You want to? And then I think someone nudged and said it's a bit louder than you thought that. So we didn't come to blows. But,
So when you do your commentary, you're sitting in amongst the crowd. You're not in a glass booth or anything.
no, you're not in the. You're not with the crowd in the set because there's a commentary area, but you're surrounded. There's crowds immediately behind you,
drums.
and doing whatever they are, and both sides of you. I mean, it is always an interesting thing because you're obviously concentrating on the game. It is quite, and you'll understand this. It's quite a difficult skill to listen to three people because you're listening to the ref, you're listening to the producer saying about camera angles. You're listening to your fellow commentators, you're watching the game, and you've got to think and then talk whilst they're still talking as well. And that's a difficult skill.
And this is the point where Brian Moore puts in for a pay rise because he tells us all about the skills. I mean, we're all out in sympathy with him here because it's unbelievable what
He's
he
a bit of a
does.
window,
Yeah.
isn't he?
The point I was very long-windedly and inarticulately trying to get to was this: is for me to notice the difference in a crowd means that the difference is quite marked. And I have noticed that the dynamics in the crowd during games, they're very engaged, but it is very much it's a much more levitous, joyful atmosphere. I think to a certain extent, the men's game is getting a bit cynical now. But the people who go along there are determined to go along with enjoy themselves, and they're watching and they're engaged. And the good thing is they're doing both that, and they're engaged in good sport as well.
And that's Tonia's point. It's for the joy of sport, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the joy that, as a spectator and a player, that you get from sport. And in a way, the mismatches don't matter because sport is being played joyfully. That's what I'm getting from this.
And we have seen a lot of high-scoring games, obviously, and I think that shows that it's still an entertaining game. You've mentioned the Samoans, there's a lot to get out of playing at such a high level.
I think just a final thing. I think when you're talking about a family atmosphere, people talk about encouraging family atmosphere. You've seen all sorts of ages being perfectly happy and safe and being able to come along. You go to some sporting events, and I'm not just talking about football. I'm talking Olympic events where it is it is difficult to create that atmosphere because the security, the length of queues and all these sort of things. These games are taking place very efficiently. I'm very impressed by the grounds that they've been played in, the staff and what have you. as I say, if it's coming through to me when I'm concentrating on commentating, it's definitely there for everyone else.
And when presumably you have to walk to the ground, sort of thing, because you can't.
Yeah,
get
yeah,
back. I mean, do you feel that atmosphere in the air on the way?
Yeah,
in,
you do.
know?
I mean, you see people, and this is, I don't know if this is a generational thing. I wouldn't necessarily walk to a game with a cowboy hat on.
You should, though. You've got to do it.
That's today's challenge.
Well, not a pink one anyway. But people are dressing up in the way that they do. They do that for the 100, don't they? They do that for because it's a different demographic and they want a different experience.
Yeah. Brilliant. I detect also, Brian, since the beginning of the tournament, that there's been a slight shift in the commentary. That tell me if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly. Sarah Orchard Sarah Orchard is starting to explain a little bit more about what a hooker does and people's function within the game, which I think is very helpful for first-time viewers.
Yeah, well, look, it is interesting because people, there are 3 generations of commentator. They're just gone. The 20 years, which is a 2003, and then the one before that, and I'm right in the final, the Triassic or whatever it is period. But things. I tell you what, the thing is, what I used to call a drift defence is now called a slide, and what is called a rush defence. So terminology changes, but the basics don't change. Yeah. And what is important is if we are trying to explain things to people who don't know and need to know, then I will take that every time over boring someone who knows a lot about rugby.
I mean, I've noticed it a lot, and I welcome it. To know that a hooker is in the middle of it. Because it could be misinterpreted, couldn't it?
I mean, who do you watch with?
I watch on my own.
Oh right, yeah.
And then when it gets to the critical points, Imelda, my wife, watches it with me, but she gets so excited she can't sit down. And I said, "Please, just sit down." No, it's too exciting. You haven't. Tonia, you haven't been to any of the games. Have you been able to watch them on TV?
Yes.
Or you're too busy fighting the good fight?
Well, yeah, I've been very busy, but I've got my kind of very close-knit group of rugby friends, and we have our fantasy rugby team. So I'm very competitive on there.
Who's in there? Can you remember?
Well, Alex Callender, Kira Bevan. I'm going to have my 2 favourite Welsh girls. We'll have to move out now, sadly. Yeah. I had Ellie Kilden, but now she's injured. But she scored me quite a few points in the first game, so I was very happy about that.
Splendid.
But just watch it with everybody and anybody, basically.
I can't watch rugby in a pub. I can't do that. I need to. I mean, I find it difficult to watch rugby live because I don't know the game well enough to see who did what in the middle of that maul. So I need the commentators and the cameras to help.
Hence the reason for that. And I know that some rugby fans say, why are you saying that? We all know what a tight head does. But
no,
you don't all know what a tight head. And by the way, if we got to speak to each other, I bet you do not know as much as you think you know about tight heads. Because actually...
We've got a tight head with us.
Is this or is this not true? Only the tight head or loose head in a scrum knows actually who's dropped it, actually knows. Yeah. And they both lie, won't they?
Yeah,
never tell you the truth.
Absolutely.
So,
wasn't me, referee?
Yeah, it was
me?
no.
Come on,
referee. Who has got the most innocent look?
Yeah.
And it is dark arts. There's a lot goes on in the scrum in the front row, and it is very kind of like technical and knowing what you've got to do. And if you know your opposition, and this is the other thing. I mean, you'll appreciate this, Brian. You know, like what they're not that good at, or what they always do if you play against them, or maybe if it's not an international, you might be on the same side. They might be a teammate as well. So having that dynamic, knowing people or not knowing them when you're scrimmaging down, and then working together and working with a hooker on your loose head, that was just like, you have a strategy, you know what you're going in to do. You've got to give them hell.
Our next podcast will be on the dark arts of the front row. Could you ever have seen yourself playing on the wing or in the centre, or do you want to be right in the thick of it?
No, I'm gonna say that I'm. I've always been a big girl, so I was aptly placed, and I enjoyed it being in the thick of it. Lots of stamina. I keep going, like a Duracell battery. You just keep going.
But you're still playing now. So let's jump back to you glided over the House of Lords, House of Commons rugby match. Were there a few political points scored there? Are you allowed to nail somebody there?
No, the funny thing is that when we have, because they have like a Six Nations fixtures, players, and so myself and a few other women will go out and play against the Welsh Senedd. So that's always an interesting one. So, and it always coincides with the international games. So we'll go play, and when the women are on the pitch only for a quarter of the game, we play touch rugby, and it's absolutely brilliant. And they're really inclusive, and really they want to be part of just playing, and they really love the women being there. So it's great, and I feel like I'm family.
Oh, you see, that's the joy.
Regardless of the politics, that's
regardless of the politics. Yeah, Tonia, you strike me as an unusual politician. I've met some oleaginous creatures dressed in chalk striped suits that you wouldn't trust with looking after your bicycle. But I think you bring a passion and a force and a belief to your rugby playing and to your politics. That's how it strikes me. I feel the force field of your personality here, and I'd vote for you.
Oh, thank you, Jim. No, I think it really is. Politics is something that I've got the skills from teaching and from being a rugby player, and it's just pulling them all together and applying them to real life. And that's what you do. Get out there and do what you can.
Get out there, do what you can. Join in, turn up, join in, be part of the game.
You do. You have to
Absolutely.
be. Hey, Jim, just wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
Who's your favourite rugby player, female rugby player?
My favourite female rugby player, I think I would probably pick. At the moment, there's a few to choose. I think Maud Muir, an England prop, who she looks like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. I've said this before, but she's got a will and a power and a force to her that I think,
determination.
I think I'd get out of the way there. But I'm a big fan of Claudia MacDonald. A lot of the team. I think this is a brilliant team. They haven't been tested in this World Cup yet, and we hope that when the big tests come, that they can live up to it and adapt to the game. But I think, and the other one, of course, and this will please you because she's a Turk, Meg Jones. I mean, Meg Jones in the centre. I think it is.
Give her back.
No, we've
that was coming.
I think she's a standout player for England. I think she's kind of the dynamo in the England team.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What about you, Brian?
Well, I was going to say Meg Jones as well, but I hesitated because I knew it would rankle with you.
You love that.
Yeah, no, and I suppose you could say England's front rows, the 2-3s, are very good. Hannah Bottoman is another example of a girl who is able to take a very significant role in the whole team, not because she happens to be the quickest, the most athletic, but she is very strong. She's very brave. Her hands are actually very good as well. Yeah. And there's a place for that, and I have a lot of sympathy for that because actually, when you know what it takes out of you to scrummage and to hit rucks and mauls and then do those other bits, you then realise that these are not athletes as you would see on an athletics track, but they have a different form of athleticism, which is being rewarded within a team game and is as valuable as Ellie Kildunn, as any winger, as any centre, who actually gets the glory for scoring the points.
Yeah, well, you got to get the ball out, haven't you?
Exactly, you've got to get the ball first.
There's a few crossovers, aren't there? There's the Scottish winger who was a gymnast, I think, or was she a dancer or
a ballerina? Yeah,
ballerina. Yeah. And
have you ever watched ballerinas train?
Oh my!
Yeah. They are. I watched the English when the London Festival changed to the English National. We were playing France, and I've got a picture in a tutu actually, with two of them actually.
Oh God, and this is another one.
And is that on social media?
Me and Gail Chilcott. It goes along with my Miss Hong Kong picture, which I won in 2001 when I was voted Miss Hong Kong at the Sevens. You were remarkable actually. But everyone else left. Because we're playing France on the Saturday, and I like ballet anyway, so I thought I'd stay. And I watched them for 2.5 hours, and I was astonished at how hard they worked.
Yeah.
A lot of them with injuries, slight injuries. And when everyone, it's always makes me laugh when people say, "Oh, I said, tell you what, you try doing half an hour of that. I bet you can't do 10 minutes of it."
Yeah. I mean, and blood pouring to their point shoes.
Oh, exactly.
I mean, I started off being being a ballerina.
So did I,
Yeah.
Tonia. Yes.
My mother's so proud of me, my little blue tutu.
My goodness.
Yeah.
That's the three of us then.
I know.
So, Brian, we've got an image firmly planted in our heads of you in a tutu.
Yep.
So while we've sort of gone off piste a little bit, there's a rumour going around, and it's on Wikipedia, that you're also a qualified manicurist.
I am a genuinely qualified OPI. I do have to say OPI because it's a brand, but OPI nail technician. Just round the corner from where we're recording, which wife was it? Because I've had a few. My second wife and I had a nail bar.
Yeah.
And it was basically this. We wanted to set one up. We were 10 years too early, actually. And I thought, well, and I did the nails. And then, my then wife ran it. But I thought I'll get qualified because actually, and I went for the exam and in Luton, and they said, yeah, have you dropping someone off? I said, no, I've come to do the exam. I said, well, we've never had a man do this exam before. I said, well, you have. I said, you're not sexist, are you? He said, no, we're just surprised. And so I am qualified. Yeah.
Was this putting on acrylic nails or? Just
Yeah, you have to do two.
buffing
You
and
have to do. You have your theory paper,
yeah.
and they said.
Theory of nails.
No,
They
so-
offer it as a university course now, I think.
And they said this is a really hard, remarkably high theory remark. I said, well,
What is a cuticle?
I've got a degree. I mean,
I'm a clever bugger.
Yeah, and then and I could never do them. And then I did two perfect sets, and you do one set, and then you do one set of extensions and what have you. And I just managed. Some people like pressure. That's what I said to my then wife. Just some people can handle pressure, and some people can't.
And presumably the business folded because many people walked in and saw the pit bull there with a nail file in his hand and wearing a tutu and thought, no, I'm out of here. Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Do you do feet as well, or is that pedicure?
Well, pedicure is actually, you do it. You do it the same. You do the same exam, same thing, both nails.
No? Excellent.
Right. Well, I'll be over because I need them sorted out.
Well, I think we've had a knockout discussion. Tonia, it's been fantastic to have you with us.
Thanks, Jim.
I think it's brilliant, the example you set through your rugby playing and in your political career, and the way you enthuse about turn up, take part, join in, get some resilience, and keep it going. I think it's a wonderful lesson to us all of us. I've really enjoyed talking to you and meeting.
Work hard to more off script and onside, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.